So now they say that 9mm kills the body, whereas 45 kills the soul. And while that's all fine and dandy, what exactly does this thing kill? What's up, guys? Skippy Africanus here, and welcome back to another Cartridge of the Week episode featuring, due to viewer request, the best self-defense auto-loading cartridge ever devised, or as it's also known, the 50 Action Express. Now, on this particular example, we have a fairly basic head stamp with on the top reading IMI for Israeli Military Industries, and the bottom reading 50 AE for, 50 Action Express. Pretty straightforward as far as head stamps go. Now, this massive cartridge typically features anywhere from a 300 all the way to a 400 grain bullet flying at around 12 to 1600 feet per second. There does also exist some heavier loadings like a 460 grain bullet that fly at a much slower 1100 feet per second speeds, for subsonic shooting. Now, the bullet diameter is of course 50 caliber, but interestingly enough, the ammunition available nowadays is actually a little bit smaller than the original intended loads, with the original load featuring around a 510 inch diameter bullet, as opposed to now where it sits at an even 500. And this was done to comply with ATF regulations, as bore diameters larger than .500 are categorized as destructive devices. And this gets interesting because initially they were fine with the diameter of .510, however the switch from conventional to polygonal rifling necessitated the switch, as it allowed the gauge plug that the ATF uses, to determine whether or not you go over that special little number, determines a destructive device. It allowed that gauge plug to fall straight through, so they had to shrink the bullet just a tiny bit. Now, looking at this cartridge a bit more, one thing that a lot of people notice is the rebated rim. So unlike on, let's say, a standard 9x19, where that rim is pretty much, equal with the, diameter of the bottom of the case, on the 5 Action Express, the rim is actually just a tiny bit smaller than the diameter of the case. And this was done in order to get it small enough to match the case head of a 44 Magnum, because they wanted the guns to be interchangeable between both the 5 Action and the 44 Magnum, which I will add was a very smart move for the Desert Eagle because it didn't end up like the Auto Mag. The Auto Mag ran like, complete garbage. But, making your own proprietary caliber doesn't help if you can use a good old 44. But anyways, back to the 5 Action. And more specifically with the 5 Action is in regards to, what the purpose of this round is. And given how many action movies, feature the Desert Eagle, has this cartridge ever seen, military or police service? Now, the 5 Action Express's main purpose was for silhouette shooting. And also you could argue it was a good defensive pistol against, say, or defensive caliber against large animals like, say, bear. Outside of those two purposes, we'll add in fun little range toy, that is the fullest extent of this cartridge's use, and I guess the Desert Eagle while we're at it. Though backtracking just a tiny bit from that last statement that I made, this cartridge did have a tiny bit of a chance to actually see at least some form of military use, aside from, again, the Desert Eagle, which has never seen military use ever. And the idea they had with the 5 Action was for use in I want to say a submachine gun, but this is a pretty big round, I don't know if you call that a carbine, but some type of, rifle platform. Again, they weren't going to be going around with, a Desert Eagle pistol, but this thing in a rifle platform, quite a few militaries actually saw some potential with it. With one particular example was, modifying ARs when the US was looking for a gun to better be able to handle the drugged out Somalis down in Mogadishu. They actually looked into making an AR chambered in this caliber. Though that being said, they would end up settling on the much bigger 458 SOCOM instead. But anyways, I think that is going to do it for this week's Cartridge of the Week episode featuring the 5 Action Express. I hope you all enjoyed the video as much as I personally enjoy making it, and I will see y'all next time.